Story 1. I'm 28M. Don't want my newborn baby around a pit bull, but my wife, 26F, doesn't agree. My wife and I recently welcomed our first child, who was just 2 months old. Her friend, who lives a few hours away, wants to come visit this weekend to meet the baby. However, there's a significant issue. This friend has an 80-pound pit bull that she insists on bringing because she says she has no other options for pet care. Now, I want to be clear that I'm not inherently against pit bulls, and in most other situations, this wouldn't be a problem for me. But the thought of an 80-pound dog, especially a pit bull with their powerful build, being around my incredibly fragile 2-month-old baby makes me extremely uneasy. While I know it's statistically unlikely, the possibility of a sudden bite with devastating consequences for such a small infant is a fear I can't shake. Even with constant supervision, I don't believe any of us could react quickly enough to prevent serious harm if the dog were to suddenly decide to bite. Adding to my anxiety, I'll be at work for the majority of the day, so I won't even be there to ensure our baby's safety. My wife strongly believes that a dog's aggression is solely a product of its upbringing, which I agree with to some extent. However, in this situation, with my defenseless newborn, it feels like an unnecessary risk. I'm really struggling with this. I don't want to be unreasonable or cause conflict, but my baby's safety is my top priority. I'm looking for any thoughts or advice on how to navigate this situation. Comment 1. I would say no to anyone insisting on bringing their dog to meet my 2-month-old baby, regardless of breed. It reeks of selfishness and is incredibly inconsiderate. There's also the question of why no one else will watch the dog. Does it have a history of aggression? Comment 2. No is a complete sentence. No strange animals should be around newborns, even cats and small dogs. You have a right to protect your kid. Comment 3. I would die on this hill. The dog is unknown. Doesn't matter the breed. He shouldn't be in the vicinity of a newborn. Genuinely don't care how he is raised or trained. Don't frame it as a pit bull issue, but frame it as extra precaution for your baby. Say any breed of any animal isn't welcome. Doesn't matter whose it is. Story 2. I, 44F, just found out that my ex, 55M, is very ill. Our son, 29M, is torn about saying goodbye, and I have no idea what to say. Here's a rewritten version of your story. It's been years since I last posted anything personal on Reddit, but I'm really struggling and in need of some guidance. The last time I reached out here, the advice was incredibly helpful, so I'm hoping for the same now. I have 4 children. My oldest son, Yasha, is 29. My stepson is 24, and my 2 youngest are 23 and 22. Yasha is my son with my ex, Tom, whom I haven't seen or spoken to in well over a decade, probably since around 2012. Tom was not a good father to Yasha, and our relationship was far from healthy. Since our separation, Tom has made a few attempts to contact both Yasha and me, the most recent being in 2021, but we chose not to respond. We've had sporadic contact with Tom's mother over the years, but not recently. The last time was likely sometime in 2023. Yasha is a truly wonderful man. He's incredibly patient and thoughtful, but he's also very shy and tends to become extremely anxious and withdrawn when faced with big decisions. He's made progress over the years, but when it comes to significant choices, he still struggles. Yesterday, I received news from Tom's cousin that Tom has advanced liver cancer and is very ill. It sounds like he might not have much time left. I told Yasha immediately. His first question was whether he should try to get in touch with Tom to say goodbye. I told him it was entirely his decision. He said he needed to think about it and would let me know. This afternoon, he texted me, clearly very upset, saying he's completely torn and can't figure out what the right thing to do is. I reassured him that there was no wrong answer. I want to emphasize that while I wasn't a perfect mother or partner, Yasha was a child who did nothing to deserve the way Tom treated him, which involved a lot of physical and emotional cruelty. From our conversations today, I can tell Yasha is going to second-guess himself no matter what he decides. He expressed that he doesn't want to betray me by seeing Tom again, and I've repeatedly told him that's not an issue at all, and he wouldn't be betraying me in any way. He also said that part of him doesn't want to see Tom, but another part of him does, and he feels particularly guilty at the thought of not going. I suggested maybe starting with a phone call or reaching out to Tom's mother, and he said he might consider it. It's clear that Yasha is really struggling with this. Honestly, I'm feeling a bit lost myself. I desperately want to help Yasha feel confident and secure in his decision, whatever it may be, and I really don't want him to carry any guilt, but I'm just not sure what to say. I've talked to my husband and some friends, but I still feel like I'm not quite hitting the right note. Reddit offered such insightful advice last time I posted, and I'm hoping I can find some guidance here as well. Comment 1. You were 15 and your ex was 26 when you had your oldest son. Comment 2. I have no idea who K is in the scenarios. But here's my 2 cents. If your son's visit with his dad goes poorly, he can leave at any time. If it goes okay, he might feel a sense of closure. If he doesn't go, he may regret that. If he were confident in not wanting to go, I'd support that 100%, but in circumstances of uncertainty, I think I'd go. Comment 3. I think I'm gonna throw up. A 26-year-old got you pregnant when you were 15? Comment 4. If your son doesn't visit to say goodbye, he could regret it for life, and he cannot change that. If he does visit and say goodbye, the worst that happens is that he has further closure that his dad wasn't a good person and has closure, not that it's needed. I think that unless he's a hard no, he should. Story 3. Update. I, 44F, just found out that my ex, 55M, is very ill. Our son, 29M, is torn about saying goodbye, and I have no idea what to say. Just wanted to provide an update on the situation with my son, Yasha, and his father. Shortly after my last post, Yasha came over, and we had a very long talk. He's such a wonderful and incredibly strong person, but when faced with big decisions, he tends to get stuck in self-doubt. We talked for hours that day and continued our conversations throughout the week. Last weekend, he made the brave decision to visit his father in the hospital. I drove him to the hospital and went inside with him, fully intending to go up to Tom's room with him. And this is where I feel a deep sense of shame, but I just couldn't bring myself to go in. It feels so silly even writing this out. He was in a hospital bed, nothing was going to happen. But when I saw him, I had to step outside. I told Yasha, and he was so understanding, but he didn't want to go in alone either. We sat in the hospital cafe for a while, and then he decided he was ready to go upstairs by himself. I have a feeling he called his younger brother, who he's very close to, before he went up, but I can't be certain. Yasha was in there for about 30 minutes. Again, I suspect some of that time was spent on the phone with his brother, not directly with his dad. When he came back down, he told me that his father was very sick but was aware of his surroundings and knew who Yasha was. Yasha said that his father mostly did the talking, mostly about random things like sports and politics, and briefly mentioned some things that happened when Yasha was younger, a long story involving a short stint in juvie, which his father had also experienced when he was younger. I got the sense that Yasha didn't say much himself. So that's where things stand. My ex was still alive as of Wednesday when I last spoke to his cousin, but they're just focused on keeping him comfortable. Yasha, as always, has shown incredible strength and bravery. He told me he feels glad he went to see his dad, but only because now he has closure and doesn't have to keep wondering what if. I feel an immense amount of guilt that I couldn't bring myself to go into the room with Yasha. I know I can't change it now, but several people had suggested it in the comments on my last post, and I feel like such a terrible mom for leaving him to face that alone. He continues to amaze me with his resilience, but I really wish I could have been the strong one for him in that moment. Oh well. We're planning to spend the weekend together. I just wanted to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone who offered their perspectives on my last post. I shared a lot of what you all said with Yasha when he was trying to decide what to do, and so many of you shared incredibly personal, insightful, smart, and kind thoughts. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wish I could reply to each of you individually, and I wish this update could be more conclusive, but I hope this is sufficient. Comment 1. I read your original post, and I can't see any reason why you should feel guilty or ashamed. You were there for your son. You listened to his concerns when he was trying to decide whether to visit your ex, and when he decided to go, you supported him in every way you could. You did a great job. Maybe if your son had been very young, he might have needed you or someone else to be in the actual room with him. But because of you, he's grown into a man that you're justifiably proud of. I'm sure he understands that your ex was a predator and that you would naturally find it very upsetting to be around him under any circumstances. You were there for him before and after he visited with your ex. There's no need to beat yourself up for anything. Comment 2. Dude, you went with your son and provided him with much needed support. Do not feel guilty you didn't go into the room. You were a badass for even staying so close to someone who clearly hurt you so much, and I'm sure your son appreciates your strength. You praise your son so much, but he has you to look up to lean on, and to emulate. Don't beat yourself up over not going in with him. I'm sure your son would express the same sentiment, that it was something he had to do, and he wouldn't want you to give a part of yourself up for him. Chin up, you didn't even do good, you did amazing. Genuinely. You and your son hung in there, and I'm sure you'll be stronger and tighter for it. Comment 3. I feel extremely guilty I didn't go inside with Yasha. Obviously I can't change it, but I know several people suggested it, and I feel like such a shitty mom for leaving him. Don't beat yourself up about this. You went with him to the hospital and helped him through a difficult time. And more than that, you raised your son into the person he is today, and that's part of what gave him the strength to get through this. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in the next video.